the difference between having $100 and $1,000, or a dollar, or a penny and $1,000. It's
no difference.
No, it's a huge difference. I mean, I've been blessed. I mean, I made a lot of money at a relatively young age, and was a millionaire a few times over. But just in terms of what you can do and the opportunities it buys, there's no comparison.
At the Billionaire Mark.
Yeah.
If you and I were buddies in high school, say we're 14 years old, 15 years old, and we know each other, would I bet on you being who you are today?
No chance.
Really?
No chance.
Tell me why.
I mean, I had my good friends, and we hung out, and I was a hustler. There's no question I was a hustler.
Even in high school?
Oh yeah, and into business in a big way. But I don't think people saw it in me. It wasn't like people looked at me and go, oh, he's destined to succeed. I'll show you a picture of me in high school when we leave. I'm not going to let you take a picture of it, and you'll see why.
Really? Now you got everybody curious. You want to see the picture?
Then you can describe it, but yeah, I'll show it to you. But yeah, I'm not going to let you put it on camera.
No worries. Lack of brains, lack of effort.
Yeah, they don't do the work. They don't learn. When you walk in the room, when you start a business and you start to talk about somebody, you're never in a vacuum with no competition. Unless you're just extremely lucky. And if there's going to be competition, that means somebody else knows your business as well as you do when you get started. And if you walk into a competitive environment and they still know more about the business than you do and more about your customers, you're going to lose. But most people don't consider that. They don't do the work. They don't learn more about their industry. They don't know even about their business. I mean, and so you've got to put in the effort to know more about your industry than anybody else. And that's the brains part, and that's the effort part as well. Because look, if you're competing with me, you better know what you're doing. Otherwise, I'm going to kick your ass.
So it's just purely you that you had.
Yeah, my dad. I think my dad did upholstery on cars. My mom did whatever odd jobs. But my dad was always like, if you want something, you have to earn it. And to his credit, he never said, no, you can't do that. So whether it was selling garbage bags, baseball cards, stamps, whatever it was, he never held me back. And so I think that was as important as anything. And sometimes being young and trying things, you're so naive and you don't know any better. All you do is learn. And if you fail, it doesn't matter. And so whether I was 9, 10, 12, 16, 21, the failures were irrelevant. And whether you're 9, 12, 16, 21, 22, 24, I'm sleeping on the couch. I have a car with a hole in the floorboard. I'm living like a bum and like a student. And so what did I have to lose? And so I think that influenced me as much as anything. So it was, my dad was like, go for it. Why not? What have you got to lose? You have to sleep on a different couch. So I think that was motivation as much. I'm not out there, at this point, I'm not out there looking, I don't need any new running buddies. I mean, my high school buddies are still my friends, my college buddies, my rugby buddies. The guys when I first came to Dallas that were my friends then are my friends now. I've got 3 kids, so it's more, my family just takes up so much of my time along with business. So I'm not, and even back in the day when I was single, I was still successful. I could tell the gold diggers from the real friends. I mean, it was pretty easy.
Got it.
If you're going to have and run a business, if you don't understand accounting, you're already behind the 8 ball.
Can't you hire a guy that knows how to run accounting?
But then they still have to communicate to you, right? I mean, there's people that don't understand the concept of, the difference between profits and cash. Your accountant might tell you you're profitable, but your cash is going down. Not understanding a breakdown. And when you don't,
do you think you need college to learn that?
Yeah, I think you do, right? Because it may not, for some people, look, if you're so self-motivated that you can take an online course in accounting and teach yourself everything, you're way ahead of the game anyways. But most people aren't. And I'm not saying you have to go to Indiana. I'm not saying go to an expensive school. I don't care if you go to a community college and take accounting and spend $99 for the class. Just, spending the money forces you to be more obligated to do it. But accounting, finance, lesser extent marketing, sales, if the school offers that, these are that's the language of business. And so while it's possible to teach yourself these things, and while it's possible to hire them, when you're starting your own company, you don't want to have to spend money hiring an accountant, right? You're already probably going to have to hire a lawyer to set up well, let me take that. If you've gone through all these classes, you probably don't have to hire a lawyer to incorporate, right? You can probably figure out yourself. And so your cost of opening up a business drops, but even more important than all that, that's the blocking and tackling. That's the language of business. The thing I learned at Indiana that was more important than anything else, I learned how to learn. And learning became far more important to me, because the one certainty in business is that it's always going to be changing. If you're not always learning, to this minute, if I'm not continuously learning, if I'm not just absorbing as much as I can absorb, someone else is going to kick my ass, right? So you talk about paranoia. The greatest source of your paranoia should be knowledge. If someone else knows more than you do, and if you're not learning, if you don't know how to learn, if you don't have a thirst for learning and acquiring information, you're SOL. Improving the ability for companies to raise capital through IPOs, I think that'll have a big impact on the market.
You touched that on Inc. You said that on the Inc. as well. So let's talk about income inequality. Let's just do that one. So how do you do that?
So right now, let's just say you're making $35,000 a year, and you're clearing $1,500 a month after taxes. And you live like a student. I don't care if you're 30, 40, 50, whatever.
Sure.
You're living like a student, and you're able to save $500 a month. Okay, or you're staying at home, you're living at home, right, with your 80-year-old parents, right, and you're 50 years old.
There's a lot of that right now.
Yeah, unfortunately. And so you're saving $6,000 a month, right? Well, right now with interest rates near zero,
$6,000 a year,
or $6,000 a year, right. So you're saving $6,000 a year, $500 a month, which is amazing. That's what every Republican wants you to do. That's what every Democrat wants you to do. Try to control your own destiny. Now you put it in the bank, or do you put it in stocks? No one trusts the stock market. No one really knows what they're doing, right? No, you put it into a fund. But the problem is, if you put it into a fund, because you're not making a lot of money, if the dishwasher breaks, right, you get penalized for taking that money out. So we're in a situation right now where if you put that money into the bank, which is really only the safe way, $6,000 a year, in a year you'll have $6,060, right?
Sure.
You're just not ever going to
if that,
right? And the point being is, you're never going to improve your place in life, right? Where the 1% really, the reason income has become so unequal is I can hire anybody I want to help me pick the best investments. Now I do most of it myself, but I'm decent at it, right? So I can put my money in stocks, I can put and hedge against the risk, I can put my money in whatever, but I'm liquid, so I don't have to worry about the dishwasher breaking, right? If you have $6,000, how are you going to keep up, right? How are you going to improve your position in life? Even if you spent 20 years saving $6,000 a year, that's $120,000, but you've earned $1,500 in interest that whole time, right? And while $120,000 is good, you're not going to be able to live off of that when you hit 65 or 70 years old, right?
Not at all.
So part of the challenge is, how do you allow people to accumulate capital without the risk of waking up one day and not being able to get the money out for their dishwasher or their car or paying for their kids' school, right? Or finding that the stock market is way down and they're basically wiped out. And so to me, that's the first thing to address. And I don't have a problem with it. I like Donald and he's smart. What's concerning is the way all of the candidates, Republican or Democrat, are trolling for votes. I mean, they're just pandering. What do you want me to say? I'll say it in order to get your vote.
You think he's saying whatever people want?
Hell yes.
You think he's saying whatever people want him to say?
Pretty much. Yeah. Now,
wow.
Within the realm of what gets votes, right? So
within the realm of what gets votes,
right? So it's not just what do you want me to say, right? So I need to appeal to ultra conservatives in order to get elected in the primary. And so if I'm appealing to ultra conservatives, what do ultra conservatives want? He started with immigration, that fit. Now, everything he says and does, it's okay. What's the playbook for getting voters for the primary? Now, do I think once he's elected president, he'll follow through with all those things? No, because most of them won't work. And do I think he's smart enough to figure that out and then just do the right thing after he's elected? Yes. So, like a lot of candidates and politicians, you vote for not what they say, but knowing that 99% of they say won't come true. What they'll do once they get
to see who's going to follow through with a lot of, because you don't really know with anybody.
Well, you already know he's not going to get a wall built. Right? He's not going to get all these things done. It's just not going to happen, and there's no money to do it. So slice those off, and what will happen when you just put the guy in the office?